Hi everybody, welcome to Demo, the show where companies come in and they show us their latest products and services. Today I'm joined by Tim Laws. He is the Senior Sales Director at Symphony AI. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Thanks for having me, Keith.
All right, tell us a little bit about Symphony AI and then what you're going to be showing us today.
Yeah, sure. So we are a company around 3,000 employees spread out across the world. We have multiple industries that we solution for, all based on AI technology. So we have a financial crime division, we have a retail CPG division, industrial, investing, media as well, and then I'm here representing the enterprise IT division.
Okay, and so assuming that because the company name has AI in it, that you're going to be showing me some kind of artificial intelligence or generative AI
That's
features,
a safe
right?
bet.
All right, and so the part that you're going to show me, who is this really designed for within the company?
So the enterprise IT division is actually a back-end platform that's designed for every employee to use. So regardless of the size of the company, let's say that you're onboarding a new employee, that workflow process can go through our platform. So kind of on day one, that employee is using our back-end platform. The main consumers of the products are going to be the IT service leaders. So the ones that are supporting tickets or supporting requests. That, of course, is expanded nowadays to, we call it enterprise service management, because all these departments, human resources, finance, et cetera, they still have to support the internal employee base. So they all end up using our platform.
Okay, and so what's the main problem that you're solving with this? What would, why would a company want to care about?
A lot of it's driving efficiency.
Yeah.
So if you think about, onboarding a new employee, back 10, 15, 20 years ago, that would be an email that would get circulated, or you'd leave a sticky note on someone's desk and someone would inevitably drop the ball and forget to get them a laptop or a parking pass or something like that. And then on day one, that employee is sitting there idle for maybe 2 or 3 or 4 days. So with our platform, it's all about modernizing those processes, putting workflows behind them, and then using our generative AI to take that to another level.
Okay, and this requires a lot of internal data that companies have, so it's not like they could just take a consumer brand generative AI platform and sort of use that. This really requires an integration.
So
correct?
The sweet spot is the integrations, like you said.
Yeah.
So what we want to do is integrate our generative AI Copilot with as much of the technology stack that we can within an organization, up to where it obviously makes sense to do so. So that way, this Copilot is running API calls against all the other technologies that are within the organization. So a lot of companies, they might have an HRIS system like a Workday in the back end. We want to be able to pull or push data to that seamlessly to make sure that the employee onboarding, offboarding, promotions, insurance, things like that are all happening in a streamlined fashion.
And I think you've given a scenario about what a company would do if they didn't have this. Obviously,
Yep.
they'd be sending a lot of emails back and
Yeah.
forth for a lot of these scenarios. What else could they be doing? Would they be looking at other generative AI
They could.
companies, or like what makes Symphony AI so unique here?
Yeah, so we are an extremely scalable platform. So a lot of times when we're going into a new sales scenario, there, of course, could be using a competitor of ours out there, but a lot of times we see surprisingly large companies don't have a platform in the back end. So they're using a spreadsheet, or they're using a shared inbox, or through expansion, and they're now an enterprise-based company through mergers and acquisitions. They might have a bunch of different platforms in the back end that aren't necessarily talking to each other. So where we come in is we can provide that kind of single source of truth for the back end, where employees can go to a single portal or use our generative AI Copilot that can sit on our platform. It can sit in Microsoft Teams or Slack, kind of meet the employee where they live. And where they communicate. And then that way, all divisions, all support groups within an organization are using our single platform.
All right, let's go into the demo. You've got a couple of use cases here that you're going to show us, right?
For sure. Yep. So I'll start on our service portal, and I'm kind of going to go through maybe just an end user scenario. So I'm based out of Raleigh, North Carolina, as you know. I had to travel here to come and do this interview in person. So what I could use our Copilot for is, I'll scroll back up here, is to ask it, how do I travel to Boston? What is the internal policy? Maybe I'm a new employee. I don't know whether I'm booking this travel by myself through Google Flights, or I'm using Concur or something like that. So I can just go to our Copilot, and as long as we have the plugins, the way that I kind of describe our Copilot is it's your best friend within an organization. It's your friend that's worked there for 20 years, that knows the ins and outs of everything.
Yeah.
And you can ask it that sort of question. So here you can see, I said I'm traveling to Boston for 3 days. What's my travel per diem? It gives me a summary of that. It lets me know that I've got $60 a day to spend That might be a little skimpy nowadays based
Yeah.
on inflation and
Boston?
prices. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But no alcohol either.
No,
Oh.
yeah, no alcohol. It's a bummer. But then it references our travel policy.
Okay.
So it gives me a summary. So what it's actually doing is running an API call on demand, referencing that PDF, and it's summarizing just that pertinent information for me. So that PDF file could be 30, 40, 50 pages long.
Sure.
But it's going through there and summarizing that for me. And then I'm just having a natural conversation with it. So it's asking me if I want to know about accommodations through different regions. And like we were talking about before the show, I was just in Denver, Orlando, Las Vegas. Now I'm here. So this all changes based on where I'm traveling. So I can get a lot of really good information from there. And this can, of course, raise incidents or service requests. So if I drop my laptop in my hotel parking lot, I could open Microsoft Teams and then put in a request so that I have one shipped to me. So it can handle all of those things. But its sweet spot is making this kind of like the front-facing support employee to anyone within the organization.
Okay.
Yep. Another scenario to kind of go through is on the back end of this. So if I'm one of the support technicians within an organization, here we're looking at an incident where Outlook's not working. Our AI technology can create suggestions for that analyst where it's automatically going to suggest the work group, the impact, the urgency, who it should be assigned to, the priority as well. So this way we're triaging this incident as quickly as possible, getting it into the right hands, which that's going to lower the mean time to resolution and get those services provided faster throughout the organization.
Okay.
So that's kind of it on the within our platform, our
Yep.
Apex platform. And then this is an example of what we can do in Microsoft Teams. So it's the same capabilities within Teams. This could work in Slack, it could work in Google Chat. Basically, wherever the employees are holding most of their conversations, that's where we want to implement this Copilot.
Okay, so they wouldn't have to go to a separate site. They
Not
could,
at all.
or they could.
They could, yep.
But they could also then integrate it with some of these.
So this is where I think most people are going to find the value in the platform,
Yeah.
in our Copilot, I should say, is because it's available wherever they live. They live and breathe. So here you can say, I was asking if I could please schedule a meeting. So in this scenario, we've integrated this with Microsoft Outlook. So I'm asking to schedule a meeting with a colleague of mine, Jason Yuri, for 30 minutes at his next availability. This went through and checked his calendar based on his schedule and then gave me 2 windows where I could then book a meeting. So I said, it asked me which slot do I want to take. I said I want to take the first slot, and then here's the meeting itself. So this actually did book a Microsoft Teams meeting with Jason right through
I
this.
could use that just for booking guests on this show.
You absolutely could.
Yeah.
We could have done that. And this is going to go way further. This is kind of our first iteration of this, but this is going to automatically book flights for you. We're going to be calling that AI for work.
Yeah.
And that's going to have a lot more capability here.
Whenever we hear about companies that are taking their internal data
Mm-hmm.
and then converting it for generative AI, we often hear about hallucinations and making sure that the generative AI is not producing something
Yep.
that's going to be a security breach
Yep.
or private information. I think the biggest example is an employee like me figuring out or finding out what the CEO of the
Yeah.
company makes.
Yeah.
That's the
Don't wanna
big,
do that.
That's the big red flag that we always
Yeah.
hear about. So how do you kind of protect against that?
So we took a security first posture. So our implementation with every customer is a single tenant architecture. So each customer gets their own implementation of this. So we're not commingling customer data on the back end. And then to access this, you have to authenticate. So I had to authenticate in here through Microsoft Teams. So this is inheriting my roles and permissions. And then when it's making an API call to another platform that's out there or another integration, it's using my token. So it's inheriting those permissions from that platform. So in theory, as long as I don't have access in Workday to find out what the CEO is actually making,
Right.
then our Copilot also doesn't have access to it as well. So it's using the inherited roles and permissions of the user that's asking the question. So of course there's going to be multiple roles and permissions, but that's kind of how we've accomplished that security posture.
Okay. So when a company would install this, how long would it take for this integration installation to happen? Is this like a 6-month process, or is it a relatively quick?
I mean, since it's very quick.
Yeah.
So we've got around 300 connectors that can come out of the box with this. So we have all those pre-built. It's just honestly the longest part is just mapping out how you want this to work. So
Sure.
now that you have this technology, where do we want to plug it into? What issues are we trying to solve for? Things like that. So that's kind of where you can use your imagination, honestly, and figure out what you're going to try to accomplish there. It's using Microsoft's OpenAI LLM in our Eureka AI platform.
Yep.
So you can have a conversation with it on day one out of the box, and it will understand what you're trying to do, but it may not have those connectors built in.
Yeah. Do a lot of companies come in and say they have a single idea, and then they see the platform and
Yep.
go, oh, but then we can do this,
Yep.
and this
Yep.
too?
Yep. That's exactly it.
Yeah, that's cool. Do you offer a free trial or 30-day trial?
Yeah,
Or,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So you can go to our website, symphonyai.com, and you can request a demo or a trial through our website. The trial is automatically spun up. So once that is created, you'll have your own personal environment to go in and play with, and then we'll contact you, just kind of walk you through those different scenarios there.
All right, Tim Laws from Symphony AI. Thanks again
Thanks for having me.
Giving us the demo. That's going to do it for this week's show. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and any thoughts you have below. Join us every week for new episodes of Demo. I'm Keith Shaw. Thanks for watching.